She wasn't a guest. She wasn't supposed to be seen. She was just there to mop the floor. But when the bride mocked her in front of everyone and laughed like it meant nothing, the groom picked up the mic. And what he said changed everything. The Rosewood estate was the kind of place where even the birds seemed rehearsed. From the marble fountains to the imported orchids strung across the archway, nothing was accidental. It was a wedding made for magazine covers. Ryan Ashford, founder of a rising tech firm valued at nearly $300 million, was marrying Celeste Whitmore, daughter of Senator Peter Whitmore. Old money, East Coast reputation, every angle planned. The guests were hand-picked. The menu had been curated by a Michelin-starred chef, and the entire event had its own PR firm. The florist alone had billed over $90,000. Somewhere near the back garden, next to an emergency power box and a trash bin tucked out of sight, Maria Hernandez adjusted the strap on her cleaning cart and took a breath. She hadn't been inside the estate itself, only the outdoor areas. She knew better. You don't bring the broom into the ballroom. The rehearsal dinner was running long. Celeste was irritated. The caviar spoons had arrived one size smaller than expected. She had already snapped at 2 servers and one of the makeup artists. Maria stayed quiet, keeping her head down and focusing on the walkway tiles. That was when it happened. The photographer was snapping casual shots as Celeste stood on the steps, the train of her designer dress cascading down behind her. Then she noticed something in the corner of the frame. A cleaning woman, bending over with a mop. Celeste's smile froze. She looked at the planner and barked, "Get her out of here. Now." The planner hesitated. "She's just cleaning near the food tables." "I don't care if she's cleaning gold off the pavement. She's ruining the photos. People like her shouldn't be anywhere near this setup." Maria heard it. Everyone did. Some guests chuckled nervously. Some looked away. Maria didn't speak. She simply nodded, pushed her cart toward the side path, and disappeared behind the curtain of floral arrangements. She had been invisible before, but never like that. Ryan had been watching from a distance. He saw the way Maria didn't react, how she carried herself, not with shame, but with a quiet dignity that made the insult louder than intended. He said nothing at the time. He walked to the edge of the garden, where his nephew Julian was sitting cross-legged, arms over his ears. Julian had always struggled with overstimulation. His autism made loud events overwhelming. No one in the family quite knew how to help, but Maria had. Earlier that day, she had crouched beside Julian, humming a gentle melody in Spanish, a lullaby, the same one Ryan's grandmother used to sing. Julian had calmed instantly. Maria had whispered something soft and warm, then walked away as if it meant nothing. Ryan hadn't forgotten. Maria wasn't supposed to work the wedding. She had turned down the shift twice. But her landlord had raised rent again, and her daughter, Camilla, needed new shoes for school. Maria had pulled a double shift, then slept on a break room bench, before showing up at Rosewood at 6 a.m. The dress she wore under her uniform was the same one she wore to church. She didn't plan on anyone seeing it. In another life, Maria had been a Spanish literature professor in Colombia, but life and immigration paperwork rewrote that story. Now, she scrubbed luxury tiles for people who forgot her name before she finished speaking it. Guests began arriving in sleek black cars with tinted windows, men in tuxedos, women in silk gowns. Maria moved between setups, cleaning mirrored trays, replacing napkins. Every hour, the planner barked out instructions through a headset, and every time Maria passed the reception tent, she could hear Celeste snapping at someone else. "I told you, those candles are supposed to be sandalwood, not vanilla. And who set these chairs like that? It looks like a school cafeteria." Maria quietly wiped a wine stain from the white marble near the cake table, knowing no one would thank her. But she worked with care anyway. That's who she was. As guests found their seats, the string quartet played a soft rendition of Claire de Lune. Celeste stepped forward in her custom Vera Wang dress, a $14,000 veil trailing behind her. She looked perfect, untouchable. And for the first time, Ryan wasn't sure he knew the woman waiting at the altar. She smiled wide, eyes shining, but only when the cameras were pointed at her. He saw the sideways look she gave the planner, the way she rolled her eyes at her mother, the slight grimace when she saw his cousin's baby drool on a white napkin. Everything that wasn't picture perfect annoyed her. And somewhere in the back, Maria watched from behind a trellis, holding a tray of emergency towels. She wasn't supposed to be there, but she stayed, just for a moment, because the music reminded her of her father, who used to hum classical pieces while cleaning cars in Bogota. She smiled softly, unnoticed. After the ceremony, guests moved into the reception tent. The champagne flowed. The first course was served. And then came the toasts. Celeste's father stood first, bragging about how lucky his daughter was to marry into a modern empire. Guests laughed. Ryan's father followed, sharing old stories and tearing up halfway through. Then came Ryan. He held the mic loosely. No cards, no paper, just truth. "Thank you all for being here," he began. "Tonight was supposed to be about love, about the beginning of something honest." He paused. "But something happened this weekend that I can't ignore." He turned toward Celeste. "She told a woman to leave because she didn't like how she looked in a photo." Guests shifted in their seats. "That woman," Ryan continued, "was cleaning up the glass someone else dropped. She helped my nephew calm down when no one else could. She sang him a lullaby that reminded me of my grandmother. She didn't ask to be noticed, but she deserved to be." Then he turned to the crowd. "Her name is Maria Hernandez. She works harder than anyone here, and she was treated like dirt." The tent fell silent. "And if this is the kind of world we're building, where people are judged for where they stand, not who they are, then I don't want this wedding." Gasps. A fork dropped. The violinist stopped mid-note. "I can't marry someone who mocks kindness," Ryan said, voice unshaken. Celeste stood, stunned. "You're humiliating me," she hissed. "No," Ryan replied. "You did that when you called her BlackGround." He looked at Maria. She stood at the back, pale, hands trembling. "Maria," he said softly, "would you honor me with a dance?" She blinked. At first, she didn't move. Then slowly, she stepped forward. Guests parted silently as she passed. Her hands shook, her chest ached, but her spine stayed straight. Ryan offered his hand. She took it. The music began again, a slow, graceful melody. And in the middle of a reception tent worth more than her entire life savings, Maria danced. Not because she wanted attention, not because she wanted revenge, but because someone, for the first time in years, had seen her as a person. And that moment, that truth, was louder than any toast, any floral arrangement, any headline. The wedding was canceled. The PR team tried to contain the story, but it was too late. Someone had recorded the speech, posted it to TikTok. Within 48 hours, it had 12 million views. Groom stops, wedding, Rio, who is Maria? Was kindness. First, Maria didn't want fame. She didn't do interviews. She didn't capitalize on the moment. But her daughters saw it. Her coworkers saw it. And strangers started leaving notes on the door of her small apartment in Queens. "You reminded me what matters. My mom cleaned houses. She would have loved this. You're my hero." 3 weeks later, Maria received a letter. No return address. Just her name in clean, looping handwriting. Inside, a check. Enough to pay off her debts. And a note. "The world saw you for a moment. But I saw you before that. You reminded me of the man I want to be. Thank you for saving me from forgetting." It wasn't signed, but she didn't need a name. She folded the letter, placed it in a small box beside her favorite photo of her daughters, and got ready for her next shift. Same shoes, same gloves, but a different weight in her chest. This time, she didn't feel invisible. Some weddings end with fireworks, some end with cake. This one ended with clarity, because when someone shows you who they are, how they treat those with nothing to offer, you believe them. But when someone chooses dignity over appearances, that's love. Real, raw, unscripted, and in the end, the most powerful moment at Rosewood Estate wasn't on camera. It was in the eyes of a woman who refused to disappear, and in the heart of a man brave enough to see her. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel for more real stories that remind us of what matters most. Because love isn't always dressed in lace. Sometimes it wears an apron and carries the strength to change everything.